We have economics, paper 1, January 2024. They said, which one of the following is a characteristic of symmetric information? When I talk about symmetric, it means both parties have the same or equal information. So buyers have more information than sellers, that's asymmetric information. Sellers have more information than buyers, still asymmetric information. Buyers and sellers have the same level of information, yeah, that's equal, so it's symmetric. Buyers and sellers experience market failure. When there's market failure, asymmetric information will bring about the market failure. So A, B, and D are not part of it. So the answer is C. Question 2. 70 million citizens in Bangladesh live in areas where there is a risk of flooding. The government of Bangladesh plans to spend 400 billion to build 600 kilometers of sea defenses. Sea defenses are an example of which of the following? Consumer goods are goods that are just durables, so it's not consumer goods. Free goods are goods that have no opportunity cost, it's not B. Private goods are goods that we have to pay for, they have opportunity cost. Then public goods are goods that these are goods that have that are non-rivalry and non-excludable. So here, flood defense or sea defense is part of them because there's going to be free rider if it is being provided by the markets, the free market. So public goods, the answer is D. I think it's clear. Question 3. The cost elasticity of demand for Pepsi and with respect to a change in the price of Coca-Cola is estimated to be 0.62 in North America. So they said, which one of the following can be deduced from this information? We talk about cost elasticity of demand. Is the degree of responsibility between the quantity demanded of a product X as a result of a change in product Y. And if they have a positive XED, it simply means they are substitutes. So Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola are complement. If they are complement, they will have a negative XED. Pepsi Cola, yeah, substitute, the answer is B anyway. C, Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola are unrelated goods. They are related because one can be used instead of another. Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola are normal goods. We don't talk about normal goods here because normal goods are linked to income elasticity, YED. So the answer is B. Question 4. They said the diagram represents the market for wheat in India. The government of India operates a minimum price scheme for wheat. It agrees to buy any surpluses from farmers at the minimum price of 0E. Buying at the minimum price of 0E means the government is creating a buffer that's keeping. So they wouldn't want it to exceed that price, the equilibrium price. So setting at that price means government will be paying at GH. Government will be paying at GH because the ones that are left in the market is at J. So government will be paying GH, JK. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The quantity that is left will be kept in the stock by government. So the answer is A. Question 5. It said the chart shows the sources of electricity generation for Brazil in 2021. So we have other renewables. We have solar, which is renewable. We have oil, which is none. Coal, which is none. Wind, renewable. Gas, none. Hydropower. So when we look at the chart, it shows that we have more electricity generated mostly with renewable resources in Brazil. So the answer is B. Done? Clear, right?
Yeah.
So go to question 6. The diagram shows the product PPF for a small country, capital goods and consumer goods. When we talk about PPF, we're talking about a graph that represents the combination of goods that can be produced. We're talking about capital goods and consumer goods if all resources are fully utilized. So here they said, which one of the following can be deduced from the diagram? The movement from X to Y is obtainable using current available resources. From Z to Y is unattainable. There's no resources available for that. It's unattainable. The movement from Z to X has an opportunity cost in terms of consumer goods. C to X. Movement from C to X is still within the same boundary, and more consumer goods are produced, not capital goods. So there's no opportunity cost for consumer goods. The opportunity cost is for capital goods. So it's not B. The movement from B to W results in a decrease in unemployment. V and W are still unemployed resources. They are still unemployed resources from V to W. But a reduction from V to W, there's a movement from V to W, which simply means unemployment has reduced. So the answer is C. But let's look at D. They said the movement from X to W result in an increase in efficiency? No, there's no increase. An increase in efficiency would come when resources are fully utilized. So there's no inefficiency there. So the answer is C. So go to question 7. It said, according to university education results in substantial external benefits. These include longer life expectancy, less crime, lower welfare payments, and adoption of new technology. They said we should draw a diagram to illustrate these external benefits. Well, first, external benefits are positive spillover on third parties who are not part of the economic decision. So with education is an external benefit because based on what we saw here, it increases life expectancy. And how does it increase life expectancy? It increases life expectancy because people understand what to take and when not to take. They understand, they have information about health, they understand what they are supposed to take that are merits and what are demerit goods because they have education. Less crime. There's less crime because because they are educated, they are likely to be employed. So they are not idle. So that's why crime will be lesser. Lower welfare payment. There will be lower welfare payment because with education, a lot of people are earning income. They earn income. So as a result of that, government will be paying less on social benefits and adoption of new technology. Because as a result of increasing income, demand would increase within the economy, and firms might have to respond by adopting latest technology to meet up with the demand. So all these will allow the marginal private cost or the marginal private benefit, marginal social benefit to exceed the marginal private benefits. I think it's clear. So the graph is there anyway. So go to question 8. They said Unilever, a manufacturer of food, personal care and home care products, experienced an increase in total cost of 4.4 billion in 2022. As a result, the company raised its price on average by 13.2 in Europe. Consequently, there was a 6.8 decrease in the number of items sold by Unilever because consumers switched to cheaper alternatives. With reference to this information, explain what is meant by the term rational decision making. First, Unilever increased their price, and if the price has increased, based on the law of demand, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So consumers are rational if they are able to maximize their satisfaction in whatever they consume, their utility. So if they switch from an expensive product to a cheaper product, it simply means they are rational in consumption. So that would reduce, that's about rationality. Anyway, I think the point is clear there. So rationality is all about making the right decision. Okay, so go to question 9. In 2022, the government of Zimbabwe introduced a tax on energy drink. And as a result of that, energy drinks of 0.05 per liter and a tax on smartphones of $50 per device. In 2023, the government increased its VAT, value-added tax, rate from 14.5 to 15.5, that's 0.5%. With reference to Zimbabwe, explain the difference between specific tax and ad valorem tax. When we talk about specific tax, these are taxes that are fixed on certain goods or service, and it's based on the value, the fixed cost of that product. And the example here is the tax on smartphone or the tax on energy drinks. These are specific tax, they are fixed. And when we talk about ad valorem tax, these are taxes on consumption, on the volume consumed or the value of that product itself. So here we have consumption of taxes from 14.5% to 15.5%. So that's an ad valorem tax. The smartphone is a specific tax. Energy drink is also a specific tax. I think it's clear. Go to question 10. They said, the table shows the global volume of olive oil produced in tons and global price of olive oil per ton in 2021 to 2022. The volume of olive oil is known and the price of olive oil is known. They said, ceteris paribus, all things being equal, calculate the price elasticity of the supply for olive oil. So for price elasticity of supply is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity supply of a product as a result of a change in price. So price elasticity, the formula for price elasticity is PES it's PES equals Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 over P1. So here we have our Q1. Sorry. Okay, got that. So we have our Q1 to be, Q1 is 2.93 and Q2 is 3.27. P1 is 4125 and P2 is 5145. Then we have our PES to be Q2 minus Q1, 3.27 minus Q1, 2.93 over Q1, 2.93 divided by P2, 5145 minus 4125 over 4125. So that gives us 0.34 over 2.93 reciprocal immediately multiplied by 4125 divided by 1020. So that gives us 140.2.5 over 2988.6. That gives us 0.5. You got 0.47, right? Yeah, it's still 0.45. So that's the answer for that. So that's done. So go to the next one. Question 11, right? It said between 2017 and 2022, the cost to produce a Tesla electric vehicle decreased on average from 84,000 to 36,000. Other electric vehicle manufacturers experienced similar reduction in production costs. Ceteris paribus, explain the likely impact of this change in production cost on producer surplus in electric vehicle markets. Illustrate your answer with a supply and demand diagram. So if this represents a fall in the cost of production, a fall in the cost of production will bring about a rightward shift in the supply curve from S to S1. And as a result of that, the price is expected to fall from P to P1. So aside that, and as soon as that happens, both producer surplus and consumer surplus is expected to rise. So it can be graphically done this way. So an increase, a fall in cost of production will demand supply will increase from S to S1. These are P, E, Q, E, D. S to S1, and that would give about a fall in price to P1. So price is expected to fall, supply is expected to increase, and quantity suppose is expected to rise, to increase. That then both consumer surplus and producer surplus would rise as a result of that. So that's question 11. So go to question 12. Are you there? Section C. They said define the term price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in price. And the second question says, between 2020 and 2021, real income increased by 6.8% in Beijing. With reference to figure 2, explain whether chicken is a normal good or an inferior good. Based on the extract, so here the extract says the price elasticity of demand for chicken is 0.55, negative 0.5, which is inelastic. But the income elasticity of demand, the YED, is positive 1.04. So that means chicken is a normal good. And what's a normal good? A normal good is a good that YED that has a positive YED. So that means as soon as the level of income increases, the quantity demanded for such goods increases. That's why it's a normal good. And for inferior goods, these are goods that their quantity demanded reduces as level of income rises. I think the point is clear. So we'll go to question C, right? With reference to figure 1 and the first paragraph of extract A, analyze one demand reason and one supply reason why the price of chicken increased by 147. By 147, you said between May 2020 and May 2022. The demand reason, based on the case study, said chicken became a more popular choice for consumers because it's considered to be more healthier than other meats. So that would increase the demand for chicken. Then that's a demand reason anyway. And for the supply reason, the cost of feeding chicken increases based on the high cost of wheat or what's the high cost of grains. So that brings about high cost of production. So based on the supply and demand graph here, for the demand increases and the supply reduces, which brings about an increase in price. So an increase in demand for product and a fall in the supply of a good will bring about an increase in the price for those goods. I think it's clear. So that's question 12C, right?
Now it's D.
D. Now they said with reference to the second and third paragraph extract A, examine two external costs associated with chicken production. External cost is a negative spillover to the third parties who are not part of the decision making. So here, the external cost here, like I wrote here, I wrote about the use of 957 liters of water, which simply means water will not be enough for human and other animals because the production of chicken has brought about more usage of water. That's said 957 liters of, put it inside the place. The second one, grain of 0.9 kilogram to feed chicken means trees might have to be cut down. That's deforestation. And deforestation is an external cost. So that means, why do they have to cut the trees down? They have to cut them down because they need to make way to plant crops that are needed to feed chicken. The third point I wrote about is carbon emission. It stated that there's carbon emission of 0.7 kg. That's external cost also. And however, the production of chicken may have some external benefits, like the production of chicken might bring about employment opportunity, and employment opportunity is an external benefit. And also they talked about the less carbon emission, 50% less carbon compared to 1965, I think. But 1965 or
1965.
Yeah, 65. So those are about external cost of chicken. Then we'll go to question E. Are you there?
Yeah.
It said, with reference to extract B and your knowledge, discuss the impact of introduction of an indirect tax on junk food. Indirect tax is a tax on expenditure or tax on spending. So according to the extract, junk food are foods that are low in nutrients. It's written in the extract like that. So according to the World Health Organization, it is estimated that junk food contributed to 770 million people being obese in 2020. Then obesity increases the risk of cancer, heart diseases, and diabetes. So this simply means it will affect the quality of life and may as well increase government spending on health-related issues. So these are the impact of indirect tax. So it is expected that market for fast food will go further to 1.1 billion 467 million by 2028. Therefore, it is important for government to increase an indirect tax on such food to reduce its demand, and as a result, may reduce the external cost of consuming junk foods. So according to the extract again, 8.4% was spent on health issues caused by junk food. So this can be considered as an opportunity cost. That's what I was saying. Opportunity cost, as the government may not be able to spend on other strategic area of the economy, such as education and healthcare. And
Other stuff.
yeah,
Not healthcare though, because they're already spending on healthcare.
healthcare. Yeah, I said or yeah, healthcare or education, mostly education. Infrastructure can also be spent on. So the introduction of tax on food containing high levels of fat, which was carried out by the government of Denmark, increased prices, which resulted to job losses. It was stated in the case study. So, but at the end of it, in 2021, I think the Denmark government, they stopped it. They stopped the indirect taxes because it brought about negative externality, and that's government. Sorry, it brought about government failure because unemployment increases. So the graph can be represented as an indirect tax will bring about a leftward shift in the supply curve from S to S tax or from S to S1, and the quantity supply in the market would reduce from QE to Q1 and an increase in price from PE to P1. So there's indirect tax, which brings about an increase in price to reduce or to discourage the consumption of junk food, which is considered as demerit good. It's a demerit good. That takes us to question 13. Okay. The head is macroeconomics. So we'll go to question 13, right? All right. Okay. It said, according to the German insurance company, global natural disasters have become more common in recent years. For example, there was an increase in natural disaster from 400 in 1990 to 820 in 2019. Evaluate the macroeconomic effect of an increase in the number of natural disasters. Include at least one appropriate diagram in your answer. For what is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics discusses the individual markets within the economy. Then when we talk about natural disaster, these are things that are beyond the control of any economic agents. So here I wrote, natural disaster includes tsunami, flood, earthquake, and so on. So according to the extract, there was increase in natural disaster from 400 in 1990 to 820 in 2019. This will affect both the PPF and the supply of goods and services globally. So firstly, let's talk about supply, which is the number of goods, the quantity of goods firms are willing to produce at a given price and time. So an increase in natural disaster will affect the supply curve, shifting the supply curve leftward or upward from S to S1. And as a result, the quantity supplied of goods will contract from QE to Q1. That's about supply. So the graph is there already. This is the graph representing the supply as a result of natural disaster. Then an increase in natural disaster also will affect output. That's GDP now. It will affect output globally. This implies that the PPF is expected to shift inward from PPF to PPF1. From PPF to PPF1, this can be graphically represented as this. So an inward shift from PPF to PPF1 due to natural disaster. Then according to the case study, increasing natural disaster will reduce the number of insurance companies available, as few ones may be able to survive it. Mostly those that will survive are the ones far away from where the natural disaster occurs. So this will in turn increase the demand for insurance, as economic agents may want to cut their losses by insuring their businesses and property. This will shift the demand curve for insurance rightward from D to D1. As a result of that, the quantity for insurance will increase from QE to Q1, bringing about a rise in price from PE to P1. So that's for the demand curve. And lastly, I said, however, through subsidy, this will in turn, however, government might intervene. And by intervening, the government might subsidize. So we're seeing the price of insurance increasing. With subsidy, insurance companies would have cut their losses, their cost of production would have fallen. As a result of that, the price for insurance might as well fall. Okay. Is it clear? Yeah. So that ends economics paper 1. May January 2024.